Hi there, welcome to Lens2Print. Today we have a tutorial for you on how to upload images and introducing our new feature, or two of our new features, default pricing, where you can set the values you normally like to use. You can change that each time if you do have a variation on a theme. And quite excitingly, the multiple albums allocation, something that I know many members have been asking for quite a while. For those new to Lens2Print and who haven't uploaded images before, we're going to go through the process from start to finish. Please remember to log in as an artist from the homepage lens2print.co.uk or lens2print.com. Down at the bottom under the Essentials, you'll find the artist login. If you do that from the customer screen, it doesn't recognize you. The artist login and customer login are separate items. All being well, you end up with the screen that you have in front of us here. We're going to add a file today, and I have mine in one place so that I know where to find things. And I'm going to upload this rather handsome little chap here by selecting, tablet problem, by selecting and choosing open. And there he is. If you want to add more images, you can do that either by control clicking or shift clicking to get a range, or you can just go add and add and add, basically. If you're happy with all of that, we press Start Upload, and you'll see the progress bar goes whizzing along quite nicely for us today, and it will then appear with the pricing options. Okay, so if you've never been here before, welcome to where you set your pricing. You can choose any values you like, so long as it's more than 20%. We never want you to accidentally not have a markup. Anything with a blue tick will show up as an option on your product, anything without won't. So in this particular thing, I've allowed 90% as a canvas print. I've decided not to allow round coasters because I don't think this image will work well on a round product. Coasters, square, wall clocks, everything else, I'm happy that will work, and you can see the markups I've chosen to apply. At the bottom is one of our new features, save my choices for next time. So if you routinely upload the same kind of image, you want the same kind of markups, then this is ideal for you. If you do at any time do that and it loads up a default you don't like, you just go into the box and type in the new value, and that's as easy as it goes. So if you're happy with everything, we go add products, we get the spinning wheel of happiness, and that is now uploading the high-res image to our server for processing. And when that happens, you'll notice at the top of your screen, you'll get a notification saying you have an item requiring attention, just up there. Okay, so that's saying really this image is still sat in the approvals queue. At this point, if you want to, you can move down, click on the view all, and it will bring that item back up and let you change things like titles, description, keywords, and indeed pricing if you wish. So whilst it hasn't yet been approved, you can go into there and modify things. Okay, so there's the image, it's sat there ready to go, and as far as you're concerned as an artist, it's now in the approvals queue waiting for one of the team to get to it. So I'm just going to pause the video a moment now whilst I go and upload and approve that image to show you what happens next as an artist. See you in a moment. Okay, so that didn't take long. We're now back to the screen, and your image has gone from the upload pile and still shows over here that one item requires attention. So at this point, you could still change the details and modify, edit descriptions with typos, that kind of thing. What we need to do now before this becomes for sale is to go in and allocate it to an album. Now, I'm going to work on the basis that this is new to you, so the existing Lens2Print people, don't worry about it, but a quick recap. We're going to add an album, and we're going to call this album Test. Now, a few people have said it's quite hard to get images into albums because they're listed alphabetically. So if it's further down the page, it can be quite a long way, particularly someone like myself, over 1,000 images. The way that we suggest you get around this is just name your image with a couple of spaces first, and I'm going to call this one Test 1 for purposes, and you can just put in here whatever you want to call it. So I will just call this Temporary 1. Okay. Because of the way ASCII works, the space shows up before other alphanumeric characters. So you can see here on my list of albums, I have quite a few albums. And obviously if I wanted to work down into one called Waterfalls, it's a long way down. So a good trick you can do is to add an album at the beginning, as I've done one called My Latest Images. I'm going to create a second album now called Test Album 2, or Test 2, because I want to show you how to move things between albums and do the duplicate. So I will call that Test Album 2, highly original. Okay. So you can see now I have multiple albums on screen. I've got Test 1, Test 2 and the real ones. And I always have My Latest Images, which are created with a space, My Latest Images. If you have got a lot of stuff that's further down the alphabet, a real good trick is to go ahead and edit that album name, make the first character a space. You can drag things across very easily from the top and sideways, and then when you've done that, go back in, edit the album name, take out the space, and it will go back to its correct alphabetical location. So I've now created some albums. I've got Test 1, Test 2 and my normal selection. So I now need to go up to Albums and Allocate Images, and this is where we're going to see the otter appear on the right hand side, and we need to give the otter a home. So once this screen loads, bear with me. There we go. Okay. So we have there the otter on the right there, looking remarkably cute, and we've got several of the albums. For today's purposes, I'm going to drag the otter into Test 1, and to do that you literally just put the pointer on top of it, left click and drag and drop it into an album. Let go. And there we go, we have otter in album. That's perfect if you just want this to go into one album. But the new feature allows you to have the same image in multiple albums without you re-uploading. And there are some instructions on the screen, just kind of over here, that tell you what to do. You move the mouse pointer over the image you wish to duplicate. You hold down the Ctrl key, and then you click and drag to the other location, and then let go. And that has now duplicated our otter, so that will appear in both Test Album 1 and Test Album 2. Now, there is of course a time when you might think, do you know what, I really didn't mean to do that, and maybe I intended to move it into another album. Well, that's easy enough. Once it's duplicated, you can drag it and drop it to wherever you like. It really is that straightforward. It may well be you have a temporary album, one called Sale or Christmas, that you don't want there all the time. And what we need to do now is to remove the duplicate otter. Wonderfully simple. The software guy's done a fabulous job for us. We just left click drag over to unallocated images, let go. So the otter has now vanished from Test Album 1 and is sitting in unallocated images. Now how do we get rid of it? Dead easy. Up to the top, do a refresh on the page will reload. It'll take a few seconds to do that. Obviously it's handling some big data. And when it does reload, you will find the otter has disappeared. Voila! The reason there are two otters on the left hand side here, of course, is the first one is always the header for that album, and the second one is the one that is the real image as such. So this being a duplicate here is just how it normally looks. If you have multiple images in the same album, for argument's sake in this one, My Latest, that one there I've chosen to be the header image for that album. So the two otters over there isn't an error, it's just how the system works. And that's as easy as it is. You can now have images in multiple albums. We haven't put a limit on this. We're trusting you guys to be sensible with it. And if you want to remove it, you just go over to unallocated images, refresh the page, the job is done. We hope you like that new improvement, along with the default. We really like the default. That's very handy for people to upload a lot the same. And for those who've been asking for the duplicate, we listened, we delivered, now you upload. Thanks folks.